Hello, Mr. Wage. This is our video presentation, and first of all, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Luh Made Suryani as the second speaker.
My name is Putu Ristyananda as the first speaker.
My name is Komang Juli Suarmawan as the third speaker.
I'm Nyoman Seftyari Handayani as a fourth speaker.
I'm Bagus Tri Pringgadana as a last speaker.
Hello, Mr. Wage. This is Ristyananda speaking. And language acquisition is a process of perceive, produce, and use a word to communicate. It is improved capacity of syntax, phonetic, and an extensive vocabulary. The children successfully learning a first language without any formal lesson needed. The children acquire the language, especially mother tongue, so quickly and easily by imitating their environment. Children acquire language in stage at different children reach various stage at different times. The stage of the children language development are no language but cry, first words, the birth of grammar, evidence of innateness, childish creativity, and stage of linguistic development. Those children language development will be described. Crying is a kind of language without a speech. It is happen in the first few months. Child communicates different types of discomfort without using normal speech sound. Cry can help the child learn how to produce a linguistic sound. And after several weeks, the baby is starting to coo, making a soft gargling sound, seemingly to express satisfaction. And when the children in the 6 months, they start to bubbling. Those steps are through by the baby to communicate with their parents. For example, the babies making soft gargling sound to express satisfaction about what are their parents did. And the babies are crying, might be they are hungry, and the parents will be give them milk. Then the baby stop crying. This case is related to the Skinner-Ferber behavior theory in 1957. It's about applied a functional analysis approach to analyze language behaviors in terms of their natural occurrence in response to environmental circumstance. In this case, the verbal operand is the babies are crying. The reinforcement is the milk because the milk is needed by the babies. And the response of the parents is the parents give the babies milk. And the response from the babies is the babies stop crying. Okay, those are the explanations about no language but cry. The next explanation will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the chance. I'm Luh Made Suryani as the second speaker. In here, I would like to explain about the first words. Okay, for the first one, the definition of first words. In this first words actually is more about the language acquisition in early learning language of child, which as the climax of producing a word. Okay, the next slide is the relation between the case and the theory, the other theory. Okay, the children about 1 year old tend to use idiomorph. While the idiomorph here means the pattern of repeated letters of the children. For example, kaka is a word for milk. The word that they produce or say is still related with their surrounding or their environment. Then they begin to learn the vocabulary of their mother tongue, and according to Piaget, this case is called by egocentric speech or egocentrism. Piaget states that egocentrism is how the children see the things with their own perspectives. So the relation between idiomorph and egocentrism here is because they tend to use their own perspectives. So in naming things, they produce randomly consonant and vowel, like the word kaka is for milk. Okay, I think that's all about my presentation, and then the next presentation will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Komang Juli Suarmawan as the third speaker, and we'll discuss about the birth of grammar and evidence for innateness. Children acquiring the language through several stages. Like first stages, children not use a language but they cry, and then they produce the first word. In the next stages, the children try to combine word with another word. The stages also as the birth of grammar of the children. In the birth of grammar, children has holoplastic stage. Holoplastic stage is when the children use a word to request a thing or use a certain movement that represent what the children want. Piaget also stated that children develop their cognitive language acquisition through 4 stages such as sensory motor period. Sensory motor period is when the children in age of 2 years. The children use an action to express what they want. For example, the children accidentally dropped a glass as the sign they want a milk. In psycholinguistic book by Thomas Scofield, this case called holoplastic stage. And then children have holoplastic speech. Holoplastic speech is the time when the children try to be brave to use new words or phrases, clauses, and sentences. Piaget stated that children development in language acquisition has a stage that called pre-operational period. Pre-operational period is where the children in the age of 2 years to 7 children make a mental schema development, which is collaborate or combine word by word and make a sentence grammatically. In the book of Thomas Scofield, this case called holoplastic speech. So the relation between those theory and the cases are when the children use a word to request or an action to request something. This is called sensomotor sensory motor period. And when the children try to combine word by word and with more word, this is called holoprasy. Speech and Piaget theory called as pre-operational period. Okay, for the next materials is about evidence of innateness. Evidence of innateness is the stages that discuss about the development of the children in case of mastering and using their mother tongue. In the book of Psycholinguistic by Thomas Koffel, there is a result study of Chomsky that say early linguistic learning comes from innately specified language ability in human beings. It is mean that humans learn to use the language and understand about language at the first is from their mother language. Chomsky also has a theory about innateness that say children inborn language acquisition is biologically determined. It is mean that children learn a language from mother tongue genetically. Chomsky argued that only humans that have language acquisition genetically and do a process called LAD. LAD means language acquisition device, that is a mechanism of human to process the rules of language. And then for the conclusion, the relation of the case and the theory of, in this case, Chomsky stated that human early learning is mother tongue language acquisition. So evidence of innateness is when the children acquiring mother language as their early learning language and try to process the rule of the language by LAD. Okay, thank you. That's all about my presentation. The next material will be presented by my friend.
Okay, thank you for the chance that given to me. I'm Nyoman Seftyari Handayani. As the fourth speaker, will explain about childish activity. Childish activity is the ability of a child to produce a composition, product, or idea of what is basically new when they interact with its environment. Based on the case in the psycholinguistic book by Thomas Cavell, children have difficulty to build sentences or use the language appropriately. But from the difficulties and the errors in using the language, students could develop their creativity. Okay, the next is the theory that related to the case before. There are two theories that related to the case before. In here, I have the first theory is from Tomasello, and the second one is from Vygotsky. The first theory, according to Tomasello 2003, it is about the children learn the language from their language experience and language structure. The children learns contracts by first mastering specific example before proceeding to generalize and use contraction productively with other lexical items during the third and fourth year of life. In here, Tomasello also cite that contractional gradually become more general and more abstract, and the grammar emergency recursive sequence of symbol. The next theory is according to Vygotsky. It is about the social interaction theory. In here, Vygotsky said that it stresses the importance of the environment and culture in which the language is being learned during early childhood development, because the social interaction is what first provided the child with the means of making sense of their own behavior and how they think about the surrounding world. Then the next is the relationship between the case and the theory. Based on the case that related to the theory from the Tomasello 2003, it can be concluded that the children use their errors to develop their creativity in forming language linguistically and constructively. Step by step, children learn to construct from general into an abstract one. And then the last is the relationship theory from Vygotsky based on the case before. It can be concluded that the children interact with their environment for the first time and it makes them understand about their own behavior. Okay, I think that's all about my presentation about the childish activity, and the next presentation will be explained by my friends.
Well, thank you so much for the time. Now, I am as last speaker. My name is Bagus Tri Pringgadana. I will tell about the conclusion. So, in the conclusion, children early language acquisition has 5 stages to be able to produce language linguistically and grammatically. First stage is children are crying to express the language. In this stage, children express what they want by crying because they have no any vocabulary yet. According to Skinner, language behavior, in terms of their natural occurrence in response to environmental circumstance and effects they have on human interactions. Second stage is a first word. It means a language acquisition in early learning language of child, which as a climax of producing a word, start from idiomorph of the children then relate with the theory from Piaget about egocentrism. So the result is because the children tend to use their own perspectives in naming things, they produce random consonant and vowel like kaka is for milk. Well, move to third stage is the birth of grammar of children. At the first, children combine 2 words and then they try to combine a word with more. Children acquire grammar fastly. This case is related to Piaget theory, namely holoplastic. Sensory motor period is when the children in age of 2 years, the children use an action to express what they want. For example, the children accidentally drop a glass as the sign that they want a milk. In psycholinguistics book by Thomas Kovel, this case called holoplastic stage. And for the second theory of Piaget called pre-operational period is where the children in the age of years to 2 years to 7, children make a mental schema development which is collaborate or combine word by word and make a sentence grammatically. In the book of Thomas Kovel, this case called holoplastic speech. And then fourth stage. Fourth stage is the evidence of innatedness. This is this is the stage that discuss about the development of the children in case of mastering and using their mother language. In the book of Psycholinguistics by Thomas Koppel, there is a result study of Chomsky that say early linguistic
learning comes from innately specified language ability in human beings. It it means that human learn to use the language and understand about the language at the first is from their mother language. Chomsky argued that only human that have language acquisition genetically and do a process called LED, language acquisition device. LED is the mechanism of human to process the rules of language. Well, the last stages is the childish creativity. This is the ability of a child to produce a composition, product, or idea of what is basically new when they interact with its environment. Based on the case in the psycholinguistic book by Thomas Koval, children have difficulty to build sentence or use the language appropriately, but from the difficulties and errors in using the language, students could develop their creativity. There are two theories that relate with that case. It is usage-based theory and modern theory and models of language acquisition. The first theory is the Tomasello. In according to Tomasello, children learn the language from their language experience, and then language structure arises from the use of language. The second theory is Vygotsky. Social interaction theory also relates with the case above. Based on the case that relate to the theory from the Tomasello, it can be concluded that the children use their errors to develop their creativity in forming language linguistically and constructively. Step by step, children learn to construct from general into an abstract one. The second theory from Vygotsky, it can be concluded that the children interact with their environment from the first time, and it makes them understand about their own behavior. Okay, I think that's all about my presentation and our presentation. Thank you for the time that given to us, and have a good day.